and in your guys' shoes, I'm still an agent. A lot of people from Bold, and I have a lot of friends in this office. I love this office, and I love the people here. This real estate I've been, I guess, a realtor for about 11 years. And first 4 years was just kind of bumping along, trying to figure things out. And then I finally found Keller Williams, and that's when things took off for me. In my office, I was blessed to become one of those the top producers, and this is where really my business career took off, is Keller Williams. And beyond that, just where everything really came together for just life learning and growth. So I'm excited about all of that. Aside from all of that, did you find it? Do you want me to give it?
Yeah.
Here, you use it and then just send it to yourself. I gotta find it again. There we go. Aside from that, I have 5 kids at home. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people that like 5 kids feels like a lot. I was drowning a long time ago. 2 felt like a lot. Do have an amazing wife who helps take care of all of them. And I manage my own real estate business, the office over there at Keller Williams, and am heavy into investing as well. So I love to do real estate investing, and this whole, just still not finding it. Am I on your blacklist? You blocked me, blocked my email. But today, what we're going to talk about, once we get this pulled up, and I changed things up on this class a little bit. So the slides that we pull up, we're going to go in a little bit different order once we get there. But do you guys ever, like, what we're going to talk about is basically our goals and our path, where we're at and where we want to go, how we finish strong in our fourth quarter. We have goals, and I think I'll probably butcher this comment, but Gary Keller says we underestimate what we can do in 5 years, but we overestimate what we do in a year, something like that. Did I get that right? I know a lot of you know that quote, so hopefully I didn't butcher it. But the point is what we do in 1 year, we might find ourselves kind of on track. We might not. But over 5 years, it's incredible what you can accomplish. Most of your business, that one's on yours, not mine, right? Okay. I didn't think it would be this complicated. Usually isn't. But overall, it's this is what we're going to talk about. And the first image that I want to come up with, and you'll see that once we pull up, is how many of you guys have seen, a lot of you guys, I stole this completely. I didn't come up with it, but there's an image of an airplane. And if you take an airplane and you go off course by 1 degree, then there's a rule of, once we pull it up, so scroll down about halfway. The Uchtdorf rule, totally stole it from him. Keep going. We're just going to skip all this. Keep going. Down, down, down. You can tell I switched things up like last minute for some, right there, right back. Okay, this rule is all right, now we're all over. There we go. The 160 rule states that for every 1 degree a plane veers off its course, it misses its target by 1 mile for every 60 miles you fly. So fly 60 miles. If you're 1 degree off, you're going to be off your target by 1 mile. Does that make sense? The example that many of you may have heard is if you go on the equator and you just take one trip around the world and you say, all right, I'm going to start right here in Orem. My goal is to end in Orem. But if you start 1 degree off course, you will end up 500 miles off your target. 500 miles is roughly to Fresno, California from here. I grew up in Washington State, so that's roughly the whole state across. 500 miles is quite a bit. If you're driving 100 miles an hour, it'll take you 5 hours in a car to get back on course. So hopefully you don't run out of gas by the time you get there, be able to get back to your actual destination. So the point of that is 1 degree can make a huge difference. Can we go to that next one? So reality is, where are you currently? There's no judgment behind this. But where are you guys at currently in your business? And some of this might be, apply it to your business, apply it to your life, apply it to your overall goals. But usually we're here for business to fulfill our life and our lifestyle that we want to accomplish, right? So where are you currently? I would recommend you to take a minute, think about that, and write that down, whether it's on a piece of paper or on your phone in some notes. Where are you currently? If you are, I'm kind of a logical thinker, so I like to put things into numbers. If your goal is a 10 out of 10 and 0 is you are quickly sliding away from that, or maybe you're just a couple days away from, I don't know, bankruptcy or whatever, just catastrophe, right? That's the complete opposite extreme. Where are you at in your business? And be real, because the only person, it's not worth it to lie to yourself, right? The only person you're hurting in that sense is yourself. So where is your business currently? We go to the next one. What direction are you pointing? Are you clear on that? Are you clear on where you're going? So there's roughly 5 or 6 questions in here that we're going to cover, and these are some of those. What direction are you pointing? So first of all, again, do you know where you are, and are you pointing in the right direction? If we're using that analogy and we're saying, I'm going to fly around the world and end up in Orem, am I still pointing towards Orem, going all the way around the world, or am I going to end up in St. George? Am I going to end up in a completely different state? So are you clear on the direction that you are currently going? You go to the next one. This kind of gets us to, what's your actual goal? Do you guys have a clear, everyone talks about a SMART goal. We're not going to go into the depth of goals. That's usually we hear that plenty, but is your goal clear? Do you know what direction you're going? Do you know if you're trying to get back to Orem? If you're flying around the world, or is your goal St. George? Is your goal somewhere else? Is it clear? Do you need to get more clear? So I'm hoping that someone's willing to participate in here. Who has a goal that they have been working towards, and there's no judgment on whether you are at a 10 on track for your goal or at a 0 completely off track? Both examples are valuable for the discussion in here. So who has a goal that they're working towards in this room? Yes.
I've been working on it, being consistent in the weekend.
Consistent and lead.
With myself about it.
Awesome. How do you know if you are being consistent?
I'm starting to see the time, like what if I make the time for it and I'm following through.
Okay. So you have a set amount of time each day that you need to accomplish. And if you fulfill that time, then you fulfilled your commitment goal. Is that right? Okay. Awesome. Who else has a goal? Maybe an income goal or a amount of transactions goal that you have for the year. Hunter? Yes?
Yeah.
What is it? 18. Awesome. Okay. So if your goal is not clearly defined, we're only into September, you've still got time in the year. This is probably something that ideally we're thinking about this in November or the year before, but it's never too late, right? So if your goal is not clearly defined, or maybe you need to redefine your goal, we often find ourselves completely off track, and we're like, hey, we need to course correct. And I know I don't have enough gas to make it back to Orem, but where can I land that I'm going to still see some success, right? All right, what's our next one? Okay, what is that 1 degree change? Usually, if I were to ask you if you're off track, your gut tells you, and usually you've been in classes long enough that you know what is that one thing that's going to make the difference. Usually it's something that you're avoiding. Usually it's that one thing. And I'd love to give you an example. One of the goals for me was to go to the gym ever since high school. So I played football in high school, and that was all fun. I was consistent in the gym, and I felt, you feel good. Makes your body feel good. You feel strong. You feel athletic. Since then, I haven't had a consistent workout routine at the gym. I transitioned into doing triathlons, and my goal was to do a half Ironman, which I did. And once I did that, I was like, okay, my goal really is the gym. That's what I enjoy doing more, because that stuff just takes way too much time in my life right now. I knew that there were, in this example that I'm going to share with you, there are 4 degrees, 4 really simple things that made all the difference. So that first one, I knew that I had to work out in the morning. I'm sharing this example because a lot of you, hopefully you can resonate, or whether it's working out, or whether it's journaling or reading or writing or diet plan or whatever it is, resonate. I think this will resonate. Is there something simple? So I knew I couldn't work out in the afternoon. I had to work out in the morning, and I hated waking up early. As realtors, we're always out there. We're showing homes at night and the weekends, and that was my time to be with my kids and my wife in the evening. So I'm not a go to bed early person, which would mean that I was really tired in the morning. So I didn't want to wake up early. That was one of those degrees that I knew that was eating at me, that I knew, okay, if I'm going to make this successful, I've just got to suck it up and do that. The other one was, once you set that alarm, what's going to get you out of the bed? We can all set the goal, and then, and again, this is not like how do you get into, working out, but compare this to what you guys are using in your own life. What are those small degrees? So how do I set the alarm, and how do I get out of bed without pushing snooze 1,000 times? For me, it was a simple app. It was a simple game that as soon as the alarm goes off, I try to snooze it. I turn it off real fast so it doesn't wake up my wife, and then pull up this simple app, just a really dumb, mind-engaging game that would shock my mind out of sleep mode. So again, something really, really simple. The third one was someone there at the gym waiting for me? Did I have any accountability? And then the fourth one was a plan. The plan itself was just simple, where I didn't know much about working out and all of that. So I was just searched online on what is the most popular app, workout app, which one had the most downloads, download it. What's the most popular workout plan that fit my schedule, and go, right? So the point is, all of those are so simple, but it was those simple degrees, those simple things that prevented me for years of being consistent going to the gym. How many of us have gone to the gym or worked out from January to February, and then you fall off track? We've all done something similar in whatever goal we start. But it's usually those small degrees that will make all the difference. So my challenge to you right now is, what are those small degrees? What is that 1, 2, or 3 things that will make all the difference? And write those down. It might just be 1, 2, or 3 words, but I'm hoping who would be willing to share one of those things that comes up for you guys? Simple, yeah.
With a little bit of meditation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the morning and sticking to it. So
Yeah. Morning routine. So if you didn't hear, morning routine and sticking to that. Okay. Were you raising your hand, or are you just resting? Sounds, well, I guess you are now, right? Yeah. Yep. Okay, great.
First week into our boot camp is that consistency.
Yeah.
And the accountability. So the fact that I've already made a commitment at which month I was going to participate, and being consistent of it. And I find myself like, okay, I only have this much time that's reasonable to still call people, and I've got to make this many more calls. So that combination of really, being committed to being consistent and the accountability of people that are making, it's back to that.
Yep. I'll ask you one more question in there, if you don't mind. What is one thing that will make the difference in helping you be consistent?
Is
Are you
this
hiding? Is
public-
this you hiding?
is Hiding the public accountability.
Yeah.
You know, in other words, that I'm gonna have.
You're not
to go
alone.
out there,
Yeah.
Speak and so it's the public accountability.
So can I paraphrase and say you showing up to the boot camp and being there every day and going through and making sure that you're accountable to the room. Is that right? Excellent. A small thing, which of course, I'm making it very simple, but show up. The difference for you to be very black and white is whether I'm still at home or whether I'm in here in the seat. That alone will make a world of difference for your goal, right? Okay. Angie?
The exact number of chairs that we're supposed to have, so it's only like waiting, right? Like actually, it is. There is something to be said for like everyone's got to be here, and we know when people aren't, and that feels good. That we're connected to it. That there's somebody waiting for it.
Yep. Yep. Who else has one? Simple. Yeah, really simple. Uh-huh.
And essentially it's about how many choices we have in life, but when we time block, it limits the amount of things that we can do in that time. And so it simplifies our schedule and allows us to stick to it. And his argument towards the end of the book is that there's freedom in limitation.
Awesome. What is time blocking a habit of yours right now?
It wasn't, I just saw, this is something I know I needed to do, I finally did it, and I see that made a difference this morning.
Awesome.
Got here really good.
Excellent. So now the goal would be to be consistent at time blocking, because one and done isn't going to get us to our overall goal, right? Awesome. Okay, so these 1 degree changes are meant to be simple, meant to be so easy, and it shouldn't take you longer than 5 minutes, but that 5-minute task could be the thing that's been that boulder that's been standing in your way for literally years. Anyone else, like my example for going to the gym and being consistent there was a 5-minute thing that was just, and then a commitment to what I knew I needed to do. Something simpler. So that goes from years to not doing it to all of a sudden you go from 0 to 100% consistency with your goal. And this August is a year for me. And it's not about me, but I'm just saying that's something that I am, it is surprising how just very few small little changes, and we all have those. We know what they are, and it's accepting them. Most of the time we know what they are, and we know what they are for years. We know what they are, and they just sit there in front of us. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. We usually know what it is. If we don't, then there's some coaching or something out there that I encourage you to find. But most of the time, it's not a hard thing to find what that small degree is. Okay, let's go to the next one. This, hopefully at some point we don't hit our wake up call moment. Wake up call, these are common ones. Wake up call moments. Lung cancer, maybe for someone who has a smoking and their addiction and they're trying to quit. Or maybe it's a relationship breakup, or maybe it's heart disease or death. Hopefully not your own death. But maybe the death of someone else is a wake-up call. These are real life events that are wake-up calls that we hope we don't have to experience in order to shock ourselves into action. Maybe it's our own weight. Sometimes our weight can creep up on us and all of a sudden we look in the mirror and we're not where we want to be. Or it's our kids leaving home. That one, I hope, my kids are still young. My oldest is 10. I hope that when they don't, or when they leave the house, I don't look at that and have regret. I don't want to look and say, look at all those soccer games I missed. Look at all those dinners I missed. Look at all that training and education, or just being a dad, being present. So that one right there, that rings true for me. These are all examples, but write down for yourself, what is that, what's that moment, or what is that wake up call moment that you don't want to show up on your doorstep. Some of them come without invitation, like maybe a death of a sibling or death of or a parent or something like that. And there's unfinished business there. We can't control some of these. But the point is, how do we avoid those wake-up call moments and do what we need to do now? You go to the next one. Thank you. Sometimes we know what to do, but we can't get ourselves to do it. Anyone else there with me? I feel like I've been successful in my life, but I have done this a lot. I know exactly what to do, but I have not, for some reason, have not been able to do it. Have you ever felt like you're drowning in the deep end and just using all of your energy just to stay afloat? Maybe some of you guys are feeling that right now. Maybe it's something that you've experienced or you will. But all of your energy is really just to stay alive. You don't even have energy to do those intentional things that you know are going to move the needle forward. What do you do in those moments? What is it like if that straw, what is that straw? You feel like, hey, if I just have one more straw on my back, it's going to be that straw that breaks the camel's back, right? If we're not in that moment right now, I think we have probably felt it or will at some moment. But what do we do in those moments? How do we get ourselves out of that funk, out of that moment? Because it's sometimes it can be looked at as a state of depression. But what are those key things that can do that there? Hunter, will you go to the next one? Finding that motivation. How do we take action before the wake-up call? Let's go to the next one. Go one more. Here we go. So what is, for you, I would love to ask and see if there's anyone that's willing to change, but think about it for just a second. Write it down for yourself. You don't have to share, so be true to yourself and write it down. What is unbearable or unacceptable in your life? What is something that if it showed up for you, you would be absolutely disgusted. It would make your skin crawl. You'd be sick to your stomach. Whether that's in business or in your personal life, what are those absolutely unacceptable items that if they smacked you in the face, you would be absolutely disgusted? This might get real, and if you are willing to share, it'll help other people as well. Is there anyone that's willing to share? What is one of those things that you're like, hey, this is not going to happen? And if it does, then hopefully it doesn't. Sometimes it can, but what's one of those things for you guys?
Not being able to provide sufficiently for my family.
Not being able to provide. What does that state look like if you're not providing? What would happen?
I think that I would feel like I hadn't amounted to that which I knew I was capable of.
So there's the emotional trauma. What's the physical trauma? What would happen?
Just wouldn't be able to live the lifestyle that I think that my family deserves.
Yep. Awesome. Who else? Yeah, thank you. They usually are. Yeah.
About 4 years ago, we had a little girl was 5, and she passed away. And it was really hard. We had 4 other kids or 3 other kids, and it was really hard for my husband and I. And we both grieved differently, and I have seen like a lot of people don't make it. And so we both decided that would be unbearable and unacceptable for us to not stay together as a couple. And so we made the conscious choice to do the things and give each other grace so that we would be able to make it. And we've been married for 30 years. But
That's awesome. That's awesome. What's your name?
Jana here.
Jana. Anyone else? Who else has a similar? It doesn't have to be similar, but I think that resonated. I know it resonated with some people here. What Who else has something? What's that unacceptable thing that you will not allow show up in your life? Yeah. Failure? What does that look like? Not trying your best? What will failure look like in your life?
Showing my children that I didn't do what was necessary.
Yeah.
That you can do hard things. It's always about showing my children.
Yep. So really that failure is not really about you, it's about your kids. Is that right? Yeah.
But it is me.
Yeah, I get that. But you can fail and hurt yourself, and it will not be as unbearable as hurting your kids. I'm paraphrasing and putting it into my own words, but is that right? The reason I'm going deep into this, anyone else have anything else? Another one you're willing to share? Yeah. Can you speak loud? Yep. Having regrets. What's one specific regret that you would say, I'm not gonna let this one show up in your life? Is it around business? Is it around family? Is it around your personal life? Not failing in business. Yep. What does that, so for the sake of time, what I want to do naturally, just as maybe just a little bit of the coach, is just dive deep and say, what does that look like? What is that? I'd encourage you to dive deep onto that. The reason why this is important is because there are things that we are motivated. It's the motivation that will get us to act and to do the things that we know we need to do. So my point today is not necessarily to teach you what you need to do, but because you already know what they are. You already know what those little degrees, those little pebbles are, what will make the biggest difference that you've been putting off. And maybe it's already into September and you've known the whole year, but haven't really just gotten yourself to do it. But it's these things. There's people that are motivated by the lack of something, like I need to avoid something like this. I will never let this happen. I was talking with some other people that I work with, and they were saying, one of them, won't share names, of course, because of the story, but at one point in his life, he was homeless and he lived out of his car. Literally, everything fell apart and he lived out of his car. And he's like, I will never be there again. Not only for myself, but for my kids. Because usually motivation and doing things for yourself goes only so far, but usually when you throw someone else in there, doing it for someone else, that's when the true motivation comes in. And it's that motivation. It's usually the avoidance of something else or the achievement of something. So gaining or losing something will get you to act into a certain area. And if you're not touching on the emotion, and this is where I wanted to go deep with you, is what is that emotion behind it? There is something tied into, and that's a common response that I've seen people share. And a lot of times this is not necessarily your story, but a lot of times people will go into failure and regret because of something that happened already. And that is the trigger that will make me never want to say that to myself or say that to my family or my kids or leave that as my legacy. Usually there's some emotional tie that will make the difference. Another example that I was talking with someone with is her growing up. She wanted to do, she felt like she had a great aptitude for gymnastics, and her situation growing up did not allow her parents, or whether financial or time, to allow her to develop that. And she always wondered, like, what could I have been? And what could I have achieved? And so her goal, her main driver is, I want to make sure my daughter has the ability to go to gymnastics. That is a strong motivator. That's a strong, it might not be a motivator for anyone else in the room, but for that individual person, this is such a personal item that you have to connect the emotion to. You have to connect, I will never get myself in this situation, or the powerful emotion of gaining something is so strong of what it will give you in your life that it is the motivator and the catalyst to get you to act. You guys probably hear it all the time. I know Johnny says it's probably one of his favorite lines, but logic makes you think and emotions make you act. It is that emotion that's going to get you to act and to do what you know you should do. It's usually that thing that you've been putting off for years that'll make the biggest difference, that 1 degree, those smallest things. So that is, and I wanted to finish off with, I don't know, I might have a slide on this one or not, but what's your purpose? What's your why? Your why is usually tied to this right here. It's the opposite. It's the example of gymnastics that I just mentioned. The why is I'm going to work hard so that I can put my daughter through gymnastics. At one point, and your why can change. At one point, my why that drove me to my business growth was to pay off my mortgage on my house. And knew exactly what the game plan was, knew what the execution plan was, and then all it was at that point was the execution. So those are the small pebbles, or the small degrees. What's that game plan? And I'm hoping that you took the time to write that down. What is that degree? What are those minor and small, simple things that will make the biggest difference? And find out what it would look like for you to gain that or to avoid whatever it is that course. What course are you really on? So to recap all of that, we're in our plane and we take off. Do we know our destination? Is it clear? Do we know the path to get there? I believe that you do. And if you don't, then I believe the boot camp will absolutely do that. If you're not clear on what that path is, then seek out coaching. I know that Shoni and many people in your office are willing to sit down and say, here's exactly the layout, because it's personal. I have a few other slides and a few other things that don't have time to go into, as far as here's like what a game plan and action plan would look like. But I know that Shoni will sit down with you guys, because I love sitting down with people in my office. It is something that we just love to do as team leaders. And what is that game plan? What direction am I flying? Is that going to get me to my goal? And do I have the motivation to take action? What are those small degrees when you find yourself off course because the wind's going to blow you side to side? And pretty soon you're going to find yourself miles off course. What do you need to do in order to get yourself back on course? So today is September 19th. We have, a few months before the end of the year. And some of us are completely off course on our goal. If you find yourself without a goal, then now is the time to make it. It's never too late. What are those small degrees that you need to change? Are there any comments or questions, or maybe ahas? I would love to share, not ahas to make me feel good, but what's an aha that came up for you? Maybe something you wrote down or apply that you feel like you're going to apply in your business. And I promise you that it will resonate and it'll help someone else in the room. 1, 2, or 3 of those. Yes. Do we need a mic for Zoom? Okay.
So, when you get into that, what's unbearable or unacceptable, Sorry. But you talked about tying it to someone else. And, I've taken care of my kids all their lives, and then I took care of my mother for the last almost decade of her life. And just realizing that, it's one of the reasons I chose to get into real estate, was I have a short window, I feel like, to put myself in a really good financial position. Because I don't want my children to have to worry about me, and to have to, but that little piece that you talked about just brought it more to home. Yeah, that's all.
What's your name?
For now.
Renell, raise your hand if that resonated with you in some way or helped your comment. Thank you. Who else has something? Your comments help the other people. So thank you for being brave. Who else has something? Yep. That's okay.
The thing that really resonated with me is the 1 degree change, because I'm a newer agent and you come to all the training and all the things, and there's all these things that you need to do. But if you just dumb it down to the 1 degree change, I can do 1 degree several times, but I can't do like a whole 180. Does that make sense? So the 1 degree is the thing that really resonated with me.
Okay, one more. No, you guys are smelling the pizza. Yep.
You know what I reflected on when I was thinking back on things that I've changed in my life by 1 degree, like going to the gym or working out. A lot of the things that stopped me from starting was the feeling of losing out on something else. So what I have found, and my wife and I have discussed this, we go to the gym together now, is that our time is more meaningful with our kids. So we talked about that. We said that even though we don't have as much time with them, our time is more meaningful. So I think as we do these goals, as we do these 1 degrees, we may lose out on something. It may be losing out our comfortability or our time, whatever it may be. But it would truly help you appreciate the other facets of your life, other areas.
Thank you. I hope you guys got something out of this. And if you wrote things down, then I believe that will impact your actions better than if you didn't, of course. So if you need to, and if you didn't, then maybe just take a second. I know I'm beating this to death, but what are those smallest things? Because we know what they are. And then what's that motivation that's going to tie into that to help you to act? You are the one that's going to benefit. Your business, your future, your family, and your life. This is all meant. Making money in real estate, all of that is great, but it's what it does for you in your life and for your overall well-being, to fulfill your overall life goals. So I appreciate being able to be here. Thanks for, I just love your guys' office. I love being here. So thanks for having me. And wrap up anything? All right. Okay. Thanks, guys.